Hey there, it's Krystal Everdeen, and today I want to share with you how to crochet a pumpkin slash jack-o'-lantern granny square. Now I'm going to be using these granny squares for a larger project later on, so stay tuned for that. But for now, this is a beginner-friendly video on how to make a pumpkin slash jack-o'-lantern granny square. So for this project, I'm using black yarn as well as orange yarn, and this is optional for you, but you can also use green or brown yarn for the stem. However, for the details of the jack-o'-lantern slash pumpkin, I'm going to be using felt and then just sewing it on just because I find it easier. But if you want to make everything out of yarn, then you just need to also add those colors for the stem. Or if you want the jack-o'-lanterns to have like a yellow glow instead of a black eye and smile, then you can use yellow as well. But anywho, I am just using orange and black yarn for this project, and they're both size 4 100% acrylic. And as for my hook, I'm using a size 5mm hook, and if you don't know where you can get yarn, I will link some in the description box below via my Amazon affiliate links, so you could just click on that and order some from there. So first thing I'm going to do is actually grab my orange yarn, and we're going to start off in the center. We're going to make the pumpkin in the center first. So I'm going to, again, grab my yarn, make a slip knot. Now if you're a complete beginner to crochet, I do have a crocheting for beginners video that I'll also leave in the description box below that covers how to make a slip knot, how to chain, how to do basic stitches. So go ahead and practice with that first and then come back to this video. So from here, I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to go into that very first chain that I created and make a single crochet. So single crochet is through the stitch, yarn over, back through the stitch, yarn over through the 2 loops left on your hook, and you're left with a little ball here. And what you're going to do is you're going to find the center of this little ball, and if it's not the center, it's totally fine. It's wherever you can put your hook into, and you're just going to make 5 more single crochets inside of that same center or wherever you decided to put your hook. So that was 1, and then I'm going to make my second one in the center, and then my third one in the same spot. Again, it doesn't have to be exactly in the center, but once you choose a spot to make these single crochets, make sure that you make it in the same spot, and eventually it will turn into a circle all by itself. So my 5th one, and this is what the project should look like. So a little circle, you just create a little circle, and then from here we're going to build on top of this circle. So instead of going into the center, we're now going to go on top of it. So you're going to make your new row on top of the previous single crochets that you just created. So instead of going in here, we're now going to go up here. So we're going to make another row of single crochet, and we want this circle to get bigger and bigger, so we're going to need to add more stitches. So I'm going to make 2 single crochets inside of every stitch for this entire row. So I'm just going to make 1 single crochet inside of that stitch and then go back into the same stitch and make another single crochet. So I am increasing the number of stitches per row on this row just so the circle can grow. It all rhymed. But yeah, so once I make a full row of single crochet, making sure that I create 2 single crochets inside of every stitch, then the project should look something like this. Yeah, so it's a little bit bigger circle. And then for the rest of the rows that I'm going to be creating, I'm just going to make 2 single crochets inside of every other stitch instead of every stitch. That way it doesn't increase too fast, because if it increases too fast, then it's going to start to ruffle, and we don't want that. So I'm going to go into the next row, so it's going to be the 3rd row. I'm going to go into the first stitch, and I'm just going to make 1 single crochet inside of that 1 stitch. But then in the next one, I'm going to make 2 single crochets inside of that 1 stitch. And then after that, I'm going to make 1 single crochet inside of that 1 stitch. And then 2 single crochets inside of that one stitch, and so on and so forth until I go all around the circle. And you can see it growing, getting larger and larger as we continue on. If we had never increased the number of stitches per row, then it would curve like a cup, kind of like this. And that's just a sign that you need to create more stitches per row. And again, if you find yourself in a position where your project is ruffling, kind of like this, then that means you're making too many stitches per row. So you can just kind of gauge and see what changes you need to make, as long as you can identify the issues. Like again, ruffling means that you're making too many stitches per row, and curving means that you're not making enough stitches per row. So yeah, I'm just going to continue with this pattern until the pumpkin is large enough where I'm happy with the size of it. So again, I just continued with that pattern where I would make 2 single crochets every other stitch, and this is what my little pumpkin looks like. It's just a circle. But I'm happy with the size of it, so I'm ready to build the black frame around it, the like square around it. So from here I'm just going to cut the yarn from the yarn ball, and then I'm going to seal off the orange portion of this project by grabbing the excess yarn, putting it on the hook, bringing it through the last loop and giving it a tug. Then I also like to tuck in the project through the various stitches around it, just so that the excess yarn doesn't stick out too much. It's still going to stick out in the back, but I'll cut that off later. But yeah, that's how I seal the project, and this is what my little pumpkin looks like. So from here, we're done with the orange yarn, and we're just going to use the black yarn. So grab your black yarn and then attach it to pretty much wherever you want on the circle. Since it's a circle, it doesn't really matter where you attach it, but I like to attach it like where I left off. So from here, I'm going to put my hook through a stitch, and then I'm going to grab my black yarn and put it on the hook, then bring it through that stitch. Then I'm going to grab the end of the black yarn as well as the yarn that's attached to the yarn ball, and I'm going to put them both on the hook and then just chain 1, and that just helps secure it a little bit more so it doesn't accidentally unravel. So from here, we're going to make this round project into a square, so we're going to make some points. So I'm going to start off by making this a point. So I'm actually going to chain 1 again, and then now we're going to start making double crochets. So for double crochets, you're going to yarn over, go through the stitch. So we're actually going to be going through the same stitch that we made the chain on, and then you're going to yarn over, bring the hook back through the stitch, then yarn over, bring it through 2 loops, then yarn over, bring it through the next 2 loops. So every time we reach a corner for the square, we're going to make 3 double crochets inside of that one stitch, except for the very first corner that we make. In lieu of the 3rd double crochet, the chain that we created, of the 3 chains that we created in the very beginning, is going to serve as the first double crochet, and then we made a 2nd double crochet, and now we're going to make the 3rd double crochet inside of this one stitch. And then from here, we're going to work our way across the pumpkin to where we want the next corner to be. So we're just going to make double crochets in the following stitches. Really easy, just 1 double crochet per stitch. And again, a double crochet is yarn over through the stitch, yarn over back through the stitch, yarn over through 2 loops, yarn over through the last 2 loops, yarn over through the stitch, yarn over back through the stitch, yarn over through 2 loops, yarn over through the last 2 loops. And then I'm just going to continue making my double crochets until I reach this stitch where I want to make the next corner piece. So from here, I'm going to make 2 more double crochets inside of this one stitch. So 1 and 2, and now I have another corner piece right here. So from here, I'm going to make my way around the circle, and I'm just going to continue down the orange circle with double crochets inside of every stitch. So just one double crochet inside of every stitch until I reach the area where I want the corner to be. So I'm going to make it right here. So I still need a couple more double crochets to go. And since our circles are probably going to be different sizes depending on how big you want your circle to be, just pinpoint where you want your corners to be. I'm not going to tell you like a specific number of double crochets or rows or anything like that, because everybody's is going to be different depending on your size and preference of your pumpkin. So from here, this is where I want my corner to be, so I'm going to make 2 more double crochets inside of this one stitch. 1 and 2, and now that's going to be a total of 3 double crochets inside that one stitch. So now that is another corner piece. I'm going to make double crochets until I get to this point, and then I'm going to make a corner piece. Then I'm going to complete the project by making my double crochets until I get to the area where I first started. So after I made my corner piece, I'm going to make some double crochets along the orange pumpkin until I reach where I want to make my next corner. And then once I reach where I want the next corner to be, then I'm going to create 3 double crochets inside of that one stitch. So that's already 1, 2, and 3. And this is what the project looks like so far. And now I'm going to complete this row by making double crochets inside of every stitch until I get to the end here. And then once I reach the end, I'm going to complete the row by slip stitching into the very first stitch I made. So from here, you're already done crocheting the very first row of the black, and I've come across the chain of 3 that we started off with. So from here, I'm going to slip stitch into it. And a slip stitch is just going through the stitch, yarn over, back through the stitch, and then through the last loop. And that completes 1 row. So if you just want 1 row of the black, then you're done. But if you want to make it wider, then you just build upon it until it's as wide as you want. I do a total of 2 rows. So to build upon it, I'm just going to, again, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then make a total of, well, I guess for the first one, it's 2 double crochets inside of this one corner piece to extend the corner right here. But then in every other corner piece, it's 3 double crochets. Again, just for the first one, it's 2 double crochets and 1 chain, because you start off by making the chain first. And then you're just going to continue making your double crochets throughout the rest of the project until you reach the corner piece. And then once you reach the corner piece, that's when you make 3 double crochets inside of the middle double crochet on the corner piece, if that makes sense. So again, you're making 3 double crochets per corner piece, right? So there's always going to be a middle stitch within those 3 double crochets that you created for the corner piece. So that's where you make your 3. So right here is the corner piece. I know it's hard to see because it's black, but there's 3 stitches here. I just made a double crochet on top of the first stitch, and now this is going to be the middle stitch. So I'm going to make 3 inside of this middle stitch. 1, 2, and 3. And that's just going to continue on the shape of the corner piece. So now I'm going to continue on with the rest of the row. Technically, the next stitch I'm going into is part of the 3 double crochets from the corner piece, but I'm just using it as an addition to the rest of the row here. So I'm just going to continue making my double crochets until I reach the next corner piece. So I've technically reached the next corner piece, but again, this is the first double crochet of the corner piece, and now I'm going to go into the second double crochet of the corner piece, aka the middle one. So I'm going to make 3 double crochets inside of this middle stitch. And that's going to extend the corner piece for this new row. And now that I've made my 3 double crochets inside of that one middle stitch, I'm going to continue on by making just 1 double crochet inside of every single stitch until I get to the next corner piece. And this is what the project looks like so far. Just going to be maintaining those corners and then just making 1 double crochet per stitch until you reach the corner piece, of course. And then once you reach the middle stitch of the corner piece, you're going to make 3 double crochets inside of that one stitch, like so, to maintain that corner. And then from here, you're going to finish off the rest of the row until you reach the first corner that you started off this new row with. And then once you reach that, you're going to complete the row by slip stitching into the very first stitch you made in this new row. So this is what the project looks like. I made a full row around it. Now I need to complete the row by slip stitching into the first corner piece, like so, and now it is complete. And this is where I would stop, or you can continue on and make it wider and wider. Again, the most important part of making this circular project a square are the corners, so make sure that you maintain those corners. Every time you reach the middle stitch, you're going to create 3 double crochets inside of that one stitch, and then continue on to the next corner, do the same thing over and over again, and it will remain a square. So from here, all you need to do is decorate your pumpkin. So again, you could actually crochet the little face and the stem if you want to, but I'm going to take the easier route and just use felt. I'm just going to cut out the shapes using felt. So I'm going to make the face with black felt, and I'm going to make the little stem with white because I wanted to make this stem brown, but I don't have any brown felt. So I'm just going to actually color the white felt brown and then make the little stem, and then pretty much either glue it on or sew it on. So let me just go ahead and make all the little pieces, and I'll show you how I put them together. Okay, so here are the little pieces for my jack-o'-lanterns. Just cut out 2 triangles and then a little mouth with a missing tooth, or I guess that would be like an actual tooth that he has. But anyway, and then I colored the white felt brown for the little brown stem. And the reason I chose brown instead of green is because with the larger project that I'm going to be using these for that I mentioned earlier, I want as little color contrast between the orange and the rest of the project, so that's why I went with brown. I did want a little stem, so I wanted a little something, but nothing that was a different color than the 2 colors I'm already using. So that's why I went with brown, but again, I think green would look really cute too. So this is where I'm going to place the mouth and the eyes. And once again, you either hot glue it on or you sew them on. This is what your project should look like, sort of. And then of course you can make like different facial expressions for each of your jack-o'-lanterns, or you could just keep it a pumpkin. Just cut the yarn from the yarn ball and then seal the project and you're done. And then you can go ahead and make a bunch more for the project that I'm going to be sharing with you in a couple days or a week or so. But yes, be excited for that because I think it's going to turn out really awesome. But yeah, that's pretty much how you make a pumpkin slash jack-o'-lantern granny square. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give it a big thumbs up before you go, and also check out the rest of my channel. I have so many crochet tutorials and crochet related videos that range from beginner friendly to a little bit more advanced. Plus, stay tuned for the larger project that I'm going to be sharing with you soon. I hope you have a wonderful Halloween season, and to see you next time. So again, be sure to like this video before you go, and don't forget to click that red subscribe button if you have not already, so I can see you next time. Bye, and have a magical day.
These days, under the sun together. These days, let's make them last forever. These days, let's hope they last forever.